we're just going through a phase. Give it all, I don't got a thing left. Wrote a book just to rip out every page. Through the rage, I ain't never test death, but it been testing me, all the people that mention.
I'm really excited to show you guys this technique because I think it's a really dope way to transition from a person or an object in one clip into the next clip. And I'm basically going to show you guys how to combine rotoscoping, which is an effect done in Adobe After Effects, with a free plugin called Saber. Now I'm going to show you guys how to cut out the person first off, and then I'm going to show you guys how to apply the glowing line effect, which is done using the Saber plugin. I knew going into this effect that it would be very easy to chop him out and transition from him to the next clip. Now I knew this because the background is very separated from his body, so you want to make sure that when you're going into this effect, you're going to be cutting out an object that's separated from the background, that's not blending in with the whole surroundings. Otherwise it's going to be very hard and it's going to take a long time. All I'm going to do is hit C on my keyboard and cut this clip where I want it to start transitioning, and now all I have to do is right click on it and just hit nest, and then we're going to click on it again once it's nested, right click, say replace with After Effects composition. Now this will pull our footage straight into After Effects. If you own Adobe Premiere Pro and Adobe After Effects, there's a dynamic link where you can just sync footage from Premiere Pro into After Effects, and this is one of those times where it's very useful. All we want to do is come up to the top and click on the Roto Brush tool, come back down here, and we're going to double click. And this takes us into our layer, which is separate from our composition. Basically with our Roto Brush tool selected, we just want to trace around him. And we're basically telling After Effects, we want to trace around this guy and cut him out and make him something different from the background. So I'm basically just highlighting, but you'll notice Adobe After Effects, it clearly is highlighting areas that I don't want to be traced. So I want to hit Alt Option on my keyboard and just drag over those areas like this. And then if we hit 2, it'll go to the next frame, and you'll see that the computer, the software is so powerful that it just follows our original tracing for how it thinks we want it to be traced out. So you don't have to go frame by frame and keep tracing out this guy, making sure that the outline continues to be on point. Looks like it. It's grabbing his thumb here, which is great. Now we are losing his glasses a little bit here. You can see the line doesn't go fully around his glasses when he's turning. So I'm just going to go back using the 1 and then go forward again using the 2 key on my keyboard and just highlighting the glasses there to make sure that we get his glasses perfectly outlined as well. So because we rotoscoped in the layer panel, we're going to want to switch back to the composition panel. And now you can see that he's completely cut out from the background. If you guys don't see this basically transparent background here, you're going to want to come down and just select Toggle Transparency Grid. So what we have to do next is take this layer and render it out as an MOV file with transparency. We're going to come back up here to our composition, add to render queue, change output mode from lossless to lossless with alpha, and then name it whatever you want. Make sure you're saving it somewhere that you know you can get it. We'll hit enter to save it, and then we're going to hit render here. So now we're going to come back to our layer here. We're going to come up to our project panel in After Effects, double click. Here it's going to ask us to import a file. Once you've got it imported into After Effects, you're going to click and drag it down into your timeline now and hide the original cutout. And from here, all you have to do is make sure you're on the first frame, come up here to layer and hit Autotrace. Now this is just gonna pull up this box. What we want to change it from is it's gonna be preset to current frame. You want to change that so that it says work area. This is basically telling Autotrace that we don't just want to trace this one single frame of him. We want to trace the whole video clip. You want to make sure that you have alpha. This is all basically preset already for you. It's all good. So you're just gonna hit OK, and now it's just gonna trace. So now when I play it back and scroll over, we have the actual tracing moving with the same movement that he moves in the actual clip. Take this auto trace layer that we have and drag it underneath our cutout clip of him. All we have to do now is once you have your Saber plugin installed in your Adobe After Effects, you're gonna just come to Video Copilot underneath Effects and Presets and click and drag the Saber plugin onto your auto trace layer. We're gonna see the glowing line, which is great, but it's not tracing him yet. In order to have it trace around him, we're gonna come up to Customize Core and change the core type from Saber to Layer Mask. And boom, now we see that the line line is tracing him. And because we have it on our traced layer, it's just gonna follow that movement, right? What you're gonna do now is where it says preset, just play around with these. They're all different and you can get different looks with different presets. I think I used energy for the transition that I actually used in the music video. So we're gonna go with that for now. And you can play around with the glow intensity, the spread, the bias, the core size, all up here, and change the line and tweak it to how you want it. Now what you need to do so that we still have a transparent background with this is come down under where it says render settings and just change the composite settings from black to transparent. And now you'll see that we have a transparent glowing outline of him. What I want to show you guys is basically how to get this glowing line to not just randomly show up. We want it to kind of trace around him. So what we're gonna do is where our auto trace layer is that we have our Saber plugin being used, we're gonna click on that, we're gonna open it up, click on effects, open up Saber, and we're gonna come to pretty much the end of the clip. I want the line to basically be finished tracing around him at this point in time. So in order to do that, you have to click on customize core and you're gonna just hit start offset and make a keyframe with the 0% start offset towards the end of your timeline here. Now I'm gonna scroll back all the way to the beginning, change my start offset to 100. So now you'll see we don't have any line. It starts coming in gradually rather than just showing up, popping up and being there. It makes the transition a little bit more smooth. So what you could do now is just hit Command S and come back to your Adobe Premiere. Because Adobe Premiere Pro and After Effects were linked up together like that, the project file is already ready to go in Adobe Premiere Pro. I would recommend rendering out this clip as an MOV file from After Effects instead of relying on the dynamic link to happen between Adobe Premiere and Adobe After Effects. So basically all we're gonna do, come back to Adobe After Effects, we're gonna take our composition and we're gonna hit add to render queue. We're gonna come down here where it says output mode, lossless with alpha, hit render. You're gonna reopen up Adobe Premiere Pro, go to wherever you just saved the file that you rendered from After Effects, and I'm gonna drag that in to my timeline where I had the transition happening, and then I'm gonna delete the dynamic link file. Now there's a couple ways to make this transition even smoother from this point. So I'm gonna drag up my cutout version of him with the line that we just rendered out from After Effects, and then I'm gonna drag the original file underneath him for the duration, and now we're gonna see that the background doesn't transition, right, when he's getting traced around him. Now this still looks really dope, and you could probably just use this part right here as like a cool effect. With this background file, which is just this, all this background behind him because he's technically cut out from all of this, we're just gonna make a cut with the original footage underneath the transition where the transition starts, and we're going to keyframe the opacity. So we're going to start it at 100 and we're going to come to the very end of the clip and we're going to make it 0, just like that, and we're going to make 2 keyframes from 100 to 0, and now you get the background also fading away while the line effect is happening. But unfortunately this now looks weird and just kind of all of a sudden comes to a stop here at the end. For this music video in particular was I came to my effects panel right here, came to video transitions and used a gradient white. That kind of transitions him out, and I actually shortened it up a little bit, maybe like right here. 10 seconds or so, 10 frames. So now when he is getting outlined, he also kind of fades away like that. I just thought it was really cool combining the rotoscoping, which is the cutting out of an object, with the Saber plugin and actually figuring out a way to trace the layer that we cut out and use that Saber plugin on that layer as well. So I really appreciate you guys tuning in to this tutorial. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.